Okay, hey, Dan Strauss here, and I'm here to show you how to get some big pectoralis muscles, and if there's any injuries or anything, I can help you out with that too. You'll see. Anyway, so the pecs are right here, these bad boys, and what you gotta do is, you gotta do some exercises. Now, push-ups are a great way to work your pectoralis muscles because they work both your minor and your major ones. To most concentrate on these muscles, you should widen your stance, which means that you place your hands further apart as you do the push-up. So you ready to get those muscles working? Okay, so push-ups are a great source of getting chest muscles, also known as pecs or pectoralis muscles. What you do is another good way to work your pecs are unweighted pec decks. This exercise builds muscle tone rather than muscle density, and you need to use a high number of reps to achieve success with this exercise. This exercise is more geared toward your upper pectoralis major muscle. During this floor exercise, what you do is you come up as if you're doing a sit-up, but what you do is you squeeze your arms together. And what this motion does is it defines your chest muscles. The first weighted exercise that I'm going to show you is the chest press, also known as the bench press. It concentrates directly on your pectoralis major muscles. You should start off with a low amount of weight to prevent injury. Also, you can use household items if you don't own dumbbells or any other type of weights. All you have to do is take the object or weight and force it upward above your chest. Make sure your arms extend straight by the end, and your legs should also be straight too. It concentrates directly on your muscles, so just make sure not to use too much weight to prevent injury. Another weighted exercise you can do is known as the fly, and it's geared directly towards the outer sides of your pectoralis minor muscles, which aren't really used often, so you should use a small amount of weight when performing the fly, or at least for the first time. And again, with this exercise, you do not necessarily need dumbbells. Um, Fabian does not have any weight in his hands, but he's still showing you the exercise and how you do it. Pretty much, you go in a straight motion in both arms going upward towards the sky. It resembles a bird lifting its wings, as Fabian just showed. It works directly on your outer pectoralis muscles. And pretty much you can use anything that has a little amount of weight. You don't want to go over 5 pounds if you're first starting it, because that can cause serious strains in the tendons around your pectoralis muscles, which I'll tell you about later on in this presentation. But yeah, start off with a low amount of weight and work your way up. You don't ever want to go above like 10 or 15 pounds. Now, just like every other exercise, there can be some possible injuries that accompany these exercises, specifically strains to your tendons. And these tendons in your chest are made up of two parts, your anterior lamina and your posterior lamina. And this can be either caused in two ways, by a traumatic experience or the extended use of the muscle. And to remedy this, just like every other strain, you would use RICE, which is an acronym for rest, ice, compression, and elevation.